Tribe, welcome back to episode 21 of TROYism. Um, so, the last episode, I told you all that I was going to do a little bit more for this episode regarding Black history because we did, Black history talks every episode this month. So, with this being the last one, I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to just do a little bit more. I'm going to make the whole show blackety blackety blackety. So the whole show. So no House of Whites this week. We're not talking about none of that. And I know it's a lot of bullshit going on, but we're not gonna talk about none of that bullshit. All of our stories are gonna be related to black people or centering black people, which ironically, we actually have stories centering black people. Like we actually have current stories centering around black people, and they're all like current topics that people are talking about. So that's gonna be good. And then in addition to that, since we know last night was the State of the Union, or well, I'm filming this Wednesday, so last night was the State of the Union. But we're gonna do our own. I'm gonna do my own version. I'm gonna do a Black State of the Union for Troyism and for the tribe. We're gonna do our own Black State of the Union because clearly they didn't mention us at all on that. So let's see, what do we want to get into? You know what? Let's do something different. Let's catch up with me a little bit because my life, I'm in transition. I'm in transformation rather. I said transition, but transition, transformation, same thing. Well, not the same thing, but relative. So yeah, I'm in a bit of a transition or transformation in right now in my life, and so and it's nothing specific. It's nothing like this big thing happened. It's actually like a bunch of little areas in my life are um, shifting. Like there's shit like relationships are shifting in my life. Work, my outlook on work, my perspective on work is shifting in my life. How I approach the world is shifting. How I view the world before I even approach the world is shifting. I think a lot of our worldviews have shifted, honestly. But yeah, so I mean, that's the headspace I'm in right now. So it's a lot of me kind of just sitting back, observing, and just trying to see if I'm showing up like a trained or taught version, or if I'm showing up authentic. It gets deep and gets crazy, but just know that I'm in this stage, and with each episode I do, yeah, literally each episode I do, I feel like a version of that is different. Like it shifts a little bit, and I don't even know if I go back and watch all of these episodes if I could even see that, but I feel it. So I feel different. It's a good change though. It's a good transformation. It's one that pulls me more into a headspace of this type of stuff that I do for the show versus the other stuff I do in life outside of this. So it's kind of pulling me into this world that I've built or we've built or we're building has kind of taken over my whole person, so to speak. And so I'm kind of seeing the world through the lens of someone who does this show. I hope that made sense. It made sense in my head, and I just popped it out to you. But I also, what did I do? Oh, I went this weekend. I went to LACMA, the LA County Museum of Arts, and actually saw a few exhibits. But if I'm honest, I went there to see the Tavares Strawn, The Day Tomorrow Began, his installation. I've been dropping a few pics on social media. I'll do like a full something so that everybody can kind of get a glimpse just in case you can't see it or get to it. But the exhibit actually ends March 29th, I believe. If you're local in LA or going to be in LA. Yeah. But man, it was very cool, man. It was like, man, you were immersed into his world, almost like his brain. I feel like that's like his how his brain is set up, like because each room and each exhibit was very unique in itself, and I wonder like that, like if he pulled that from compartments of his brain or whatever. But man, it also felt like, and this is ultimately what drew me to it, um, was that the shots I was seeing felt like still shots of a Jordan Peele film. Like they were art, they were clearly art, but they felt a little, they felt like they had double or triple meaning behind what you saw. So it was like, if you knew the culture, or if you knew, had a different perspective, then you saw more, you saw deeper, you saw a connection. And if you didn't, then you just walked in and you saw colors and a setup and an installation and things like that. And so, uh, anyway, that's how I felt about it. It was really good. You all should check it out. So let's do this. We're gonna take a quick break, grab a snack, come on back, and then we're gonna get into this black ass show. All right, and we are back. Okay, so our first story is about the Reverend Jesse Jackson, a giant amongst men, and he was a giant. And first, before I even get into how I want to actually deal with the negative stuff first, because I want to finish this story on a high note. So all of the people who are critical of the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, of things you didn't approve of, things you think that were against the interest of the general black community. I know a lot of people take strife with him coining the word African American because he felt like it pulled us away from the Black American moniker or title or affiliate association or whatever you want to call it. Just there, and then of course the bombshell or bedrock claim made by the late Hosea Williams about him being somewhat performative of regarding Martin Luther King's assassination. I'm sorry, kind of blanked, but excuse me. But all in all, first of all, I'll say no one is perfect. The second thing I will say is measured his greatness measured against his imperfections are still very, very small in fraction. That man did a lot, and that man sacrificed a lot, and that man envisioned a future that he didn't even know was possible. He got in early. He got in college. Like he got in on the ground floor of what now lives as the greatest civil rights movement in modern history. And so he's a part of that legacy. And no matter how you feel about how he fits into that legacy, that's totally onto you. Like, I'm not even really pushing back against the people who have sharp criticism of Jesse Jackson. What I'm saying is it's in extreme poor taste, really for anyone, but especially within the community, one of our giants, it is an extreme poor taste to speak of him in a derogatory term the day he dies, the week he dies, hell. You can highlight the criticisms of his career, but you should never only mention that when someone dies. Like, you should never have a negative slant on someone when they die. You can feel negative about someone, but what you do is that person's gone. They're absent from the body, the spirit, the mind. You know how that goes. They're not there. But who is here and who is left behind are the people who viewed them in a more loving, kind, and caring way, often known as family and very close friends. And so I think if you don't have human decency to not disrespect the dead the day they die, at least hold a little decency to not shit on people who are clearly in pain. Be a fucking human being at the ground floor. Be a human. Like, act like you were raised correctly, even if you disregarded your parents' teachings or if you didn't get them. Google it. Learn how to become a decent human being. So, ending on a high note, I would just want to personally say thank you, Reverend Jesse Jackson, for all of the sacrifices you've made for our community and spreading our message and passing our message outside of our black community to other marginalized groups, and showing them and expanding the vision that Dr. Martin Luther King set out for us, which ultimately we know got him killed, was that this area of oppression is not specific to one group of people. Now, it may look a specific way within those groups, but it's not specific to one particular group. And so he extended that message and showed us that, especially at that level of living outside of the 1%, or the top 10% rather, we have more in common than we don't. And so I thank him for that. I thank him for pushing until he couldn't push anymore, and then he pushed the next generation, and he encouraged the next generation, and he supported the next generation. Even when he wasn't there to lend his voice, he was there to lend his name, his platform, and his presence. And so, and he did that up until he couldn't physically do it anymore. And so I think when people criticize people like that, there's only one person that criticizes a person like that, and that's a person who either hasn't lived long enough to appreciate it, or I guess it's two people that haven't lived long enough to appreciate it, and so no one takes you serious, or it's someone who has lived long enough to appreciate it but hasn't done anything relatively close, so they can't even relate to what it means to give something selfless, to be selfless of yourself and love humanity, and and lend your life and your being and your heartbeat to humanity. And if you can't relate to that, then I can understand how you would talk shit about it. But wrapping again on a high note, thank you, Reverend Jesse Jackson, for everything. And at this time, we send love and we wrap our arms around the entire Jesse Jackson family, as well as those umbrellaed under the Jesse Jackson brand. We thank you. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to get into another black story on our very black State of the Union show. So grab a snack and come on back. All right, and we are back. Okay, so our next Black History Month story, unfortunately, is not not great of a Black History Month story, but it's what everybody's talking about. One of the stories everybody's talking about anyway. The BAFTAs. So, oh shit. Okay, so everybody's seen what happened on stage with Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan. They were presenting, and the guy in the audience, the white guy in the audience, because that's important, with Tourette syndrome, a more specific type, which I believe is called coprolalia, which causes the tics, or where the tics are generally, let's just say, low vibrational. We all heard it. We've all been hearing it since it happened on a loop, which is part of the problem. But what I think, the black community, of course, is outraged, as we should be. But I want to add some nuance, because I think we could be more effective if we target the guilty party and not just send a barrage of disdain or hate in that direction. So first of all, I want to say, and I know it's not a popular opinion at this point, the guy with with Tourette's. He apologized for he said he wanted to apologize directly to Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, which I think is honorable. I think that's commendable. I don't think we, as crazy as it sounds coming out of my mouth, but I'm going to say it. I don't think we have a right. Well, wait, we have a right to be upset, but I don't think the anger that's being placed at him is right, is beneficial, is accurate. I think we're missing the mark here. I think that he has a condition where he says things involuntarily. Now, if we want to go down his history and see if he's went to blackface parties, or if he has a history outside of his condition, his involuntary tic condition, and then we see a path separate of that shows him being racist, then I think that's a different argument. I'm not willing to do that, because I personally don't care to that extent. We've seen enough of this to know how this goes. I think where all of our anger should be laser focused, sharp, should be directed at the BAFTAs and their production, because that is where the issues lie. And now we're finding out more. It's certain that's where the problems are, because there was a homophobic slur said that a homophobic slur / tick that the guy said to Alan Cumming when he was presenting, but somehow the production team found a way to cut that out. But they couldn't manage to cut out or edit, even at the request of Warner Brothers Studio to cut it. They still didn't do it. So we all know what this is. And when I say we all, I mean the black community. That's why I say the outrage is warranted, because the outrage isn't even geared towards necessarily the use of the word or the shout of the word. It's what we know you always do. You engage and want to enrage our community, because at the end of the day, $2 trillion buying power is also $2 trillion worth of engagement. And so what you did was you used this as a moment to not only seed your hate, because there is some hate there, especially coming from, unfortunately, the Brits. We know how that goes. We see the stories on TikTok for sure now. So uh for you to, like, man, that's the frustration. The frustration is that we are tired of always being this money generating, entertainment generating scheme that you use. So I say fuck the production people of the whole BAFTA team. Fuck those people, because they know what they're doing, because they are in the industry and they understand how that works, and they've seen the US do it stateside several times. And so they know how that goes. So fuck those people and stop playing with us during our month before we go over there and find some random shit to burn down. And y'all got a lot of historic shit. So, get the burning chapels and shit. And then I bet we get the bleeping shit out. But I don't think we should be targeted at the gentleman, though, because he has apologized generally. And he said that he wanted to apologize to Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo. But let's spend a little more time on this one, just because I want us to be empathetic with the guy with coprolalia at this moment. I mean, think of your most intrusive thoughts. I'm saying the ones that you know exist, the ones that you have within you, that you own, the things you won't say out loud. What if there was some involuntary condition where you just said those things without trying to, like, you just said it? Like, you said something about people in relationships. You're at home with your spouse and you think that one thing, especially if y'all are married. We know how married couples, we watch our interviews, we know how y'all talk. But let's think about that. Like, men, if your wife is actually, gaining some weight, and you would never ever ever say that because you know better, but you have this condition where your intrusive thoughts are involuntarily expressed, and your wife walks in with a dress on, and you're like, whoa, easy, Shamu. Your wife still heard that, but you didn't mean to say it. But let's just say you had that thought at some point, or that thought crossed your mind, or it was one of those things, again, you would never say. Like, that's fucked up, and you can't control it. Like, which means you have to, like, control your thoughts, but we can't control our thoughts. We know we can't control our thoughts. We just have and I hate to say it, but we have the luxury, so to speak, of being able to not say them. And so I think because he wasn't afforded that luxury at birth, that's where our grace should have to kick in. That's how I feel. Full stop on that. We can agree to disagree on that. I know within the community, we're just frustrated, and so whatever your outlet looks like, I get it. I just don't agree with it. That's my stance on it. So let's take a break, because I actually am very excited to get into this next story. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this next story. But before we do, I just wanted to circle back. Actually, we got some news today that I thought Gene Simmons would be very happy to hear. Gene Simmons, who says that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should only be for rock and roll performers. We got some good news for you, Gene Simmons. We just got the nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2026, and amongst those are Mariah Carey, Sade, and who else? Oh, Luther Vandross. Can't forget Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross. So I'm sure that is most pleasing to you, Gene Simmons, those nominees. I'm pretty sure you're going to be front row for that induction ceremony. But let's go ahead and get to the next story. Okay, Tyra Banks, the American Next Top Model debacle. That rhymes. America's Next Top Model debacle. I do my mind. It's my mind. Okay, so here's the thing. I definitely sit on the contrarian side of this, the unpopular opinion, but I want you to hear me out. Don't skip past this and don't stop watching right now. Please hear me out. But also like, share, and subscribe. Please, please. Thank you, thank you. Um, so Tyra Banks. Here's the thing with that. I'm on Tyra Banks' side, and I just want to break down my thought process for you. So let's talk about what's on there first. So first of all, my critiques of the whole documentary setup, that was not a three-parter. You really could have squeezed that into, if you were being lofty, you could have got it in two. But we all know we could have cranked that into about one episode, and maybe we gave it an hour and a half to be kind. But yeah, you blew your load on the first episode. Your biggest claim, your biggest atrocity, the biggest thing you could probably tack to Tyra, which she was apologetic for that actually. That you did that with Shandy in episode one. So you blew your load on the first round. So clearly, you all, the producers of this, aren't from the porn industry because they would know better. Uh, Next up, with the Tyra Banks thing, I think it's evident. I don't see how people missed it, but let me go back because I think what always happens is we pull these moments out of history and we don't bring along the world they existed in. So my main point with this was, yeah, Tyra Banks had that mayhem because, be clear, it was chaotic. I am not absolving anything that happened. I am absolving Tyra from holding the lion's share of the blame. That's what I'm doing. But a few channels over, you had people drinking bull sperm on Fear Factor. When are y'all gonna go break out the guillotine for Joe Rogan? I mean, you should break out a few guillotines for Joe Rogan at this point. But yeah, Joe Rogan had people eating Madagascar cockroaches, which is a little bit of insect slash animal cruelty also. So, well, that was a few channels over going on while the ANTM was happening. So that's one thing. But also, the reason why I want to absolve Tyra is because I saw her vision, I saw her mission, and I think in her executing it, she kind of proved her point. She absolved herself by the chaos. So first of all, America's Next Top Model and Eva Marcel said this perfectly. It was a competition show about modeling. Be clear, it was a show, a competition about modeling. It wasn't a modeling show. It was a competition show like Fear Factor, like Survivor, like all the reality shows on at that time, Flavor of Love, all that stuff. It was a competition about modeling. And so I think when you frame it in that context, you pull it out of what you expect of the modeling world. But let's put a pin in that because the modeling world was crazy. This show came out on the heels of Heroin Chic. Look that up, kiddos. Find out what Heroin Chic was. It was an actual aesthetic in modeling where women wanted to achieve it, a la Kate Moss. Look that up. Heroin Chic. It was the term. So this was on the heels of that. And this Tyra actually set out, which she said in the documentary, or a clip of the documentary, was to offset that and create space within the modeling industry. And I think Tyra walked a fine line between trying to break new ground in the industry, but also prepare those women who would make it to the industry for the industry that already existed. And I think that gets lost in translation when you talk about America's Next Top Model. Tyra Banks came through that world, survived it, and excelled in it. She did. And so she knew what it took. She knew what it would take to survive it. But she also envisioned a world where it was more accepting of all types and it was more understanding to changing the landscape of modeling, which was tall, thin, and white. Generally it was tall, thin, and white. And so I think, like I said, the wires got crossed. Did they get it perfect? No, but no innovator. That's another thing. This show was an innovator. It was an innovator to the point to where no one had done it before. No one had tried it before, successfully failed or anything of the sort. No one had tried it before. And so, you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, which sounds like I'm talking about the girls, and I want to lean into that because the Shandy situation, I am not absolving anything that happened to Shandy. That is horrible, and it's exponentially worse to have it happen on camera. Again, in the environment of the competition shows, but also the template at the time, which was the real world. Producing a show was catching the moments the camera wasn't supposed to catch. That's just how it was set up, you guys. And you can go back and watch all the shows that aired that time. And the best parts of those shows were like the Karamos in the shower on Real World. And it was those outtake moments where, speaking of top model, Takara had the outburst on the Biggest Loser show or the fitness show they had. So it was those moments where the Omarosa Janice Dickinson knife thing, like it was those moments that were usually be reserved for off-camera B-roll or bloopers. That's what reality was about then. It was every blooper, everything like that put into the main show. And so I just think we should go easier on Tyra Banks. I think she apologized where she felt she needed to. I think she, as well as the Jays and Nigel, acknowledged the blinders. I think she had not acknowledged more blinders than the others, actually. J. Manuel took very little accountability. Miss J took no accountability. And sometimes Nigel made me wonder if he was ever actually at the damn thing or if it was a hologram. He was like, oh no, what? That happened? Oh no. I didn't know. I mean, I was there and I watched it and I took pictures of it, but I didn't know it was happening in real life. I thought it was, on my camera only. Like, Nigel could have just said it out. Like, Nigel didn't have to show up because Nigel was shocked like us. Nigel could have been at home watching it with us because that's how shocked he. What happened? What happened? What? Nigel, stop. And your mom was a model, and you were a model. Nigel, stop. You knew what that world was. I would even dare to say Nigel probably took full advantage of that world, being a straight man in that world. But we won't go into unpacking that. Maybe that'll be the next documentary, Tyra. Maybe you should flip it and talk about them behind the scenes. But all in all, I support Tyra Banks. I think Tyra Banks is a live wire. I think she's kooky. I think she's crazy. I think she's everything she shows up on that camera as. But as a little black girl coming from South Central LA, I'm never, ever, ever, ever shitting on her for that. She came a very long way. She been around the world and ay. And so shout out to you, Tyra Banks. Shout out to the career she did build, and shout out to those people, those women who went through those horrible things that traumatized them. Hopefully you found peace and healing through this process. As I always say, thoughts and prayers to all involved. So let's take a break, and then we're going to get into the actual state of the Black Union, or Black State of the Union. So grab a snack and come on back. All right, and we are back. Okay, it's time to get into some things, Black people. And this is going to be our kitchen table talk that we're letting the whole world listen to, because everything I'm talking about is already public information. So first, let's start with our within our Black State of the Union. I think the most important part, and the part that's visible, even though some people aren't, not necessarily visible, but we know people are feeling it, is unemployment. Black unemployment is 7.8%. 7.8%. That is well over almost a 1.5% from where we were in January of 2025. So that's pretty rapid. The Black median income, household income, is $56,000 a year, which is 36% less than our white counterparts, which is $88,000. So we still, man, we're in that. We're still in that space. We're still in that space, and I know that everything feels chaotic right now, but this is the perfect time to talk about stuff like this, because this is the perfect time when things seem so out of order and there seems to be no order. You can begin to create order within your community, within, addressing your things, because everything's already going to shit. So this is the best time to assess your shit and make your shit better for when things turn around, because things will inevitably turn around. And I want to say that. Before I say that, though, I want to say like, share, and subscribe, please. Thank you so much. But things will turn around and things will get better. And But the only way that things will get better quicker versus things will get better over a longer period of time, in which some of us may not even be here to see, that's how long things can be bad. But the way things can get better quicker is if we acknowledge where we are struggling and how we can get better. So let's get into it. 17% of black fourth graders are reading at the fourth grade proficiency. 17%. When we get to the eighth grade, it drops to 14%. 14% of black eighth graders are reading at a eighth grade proficient level. Now, I know that sounds immediately like an indictment on the parents, and there is some accountability to be held there for sure, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. There's a lack of accountability all the way around between the parent and the education system. And there's also a general disengagement with education when only 14% of eighth graders can read at the proficiency. I can't go back through the jasmines of my mind and go back to eighth grade. But and just think about who was reading and who couldn't read in eighth grade. I can't go back in my mind that far to like assess that, but I don't think it was that. I don't think it was that. I know when we were taking our statewide and scholastic tests, if we weren't like passing the mark, we were closer to passing than not. Like we weren't like at risk. So 14% of your like now I'm gonna say this. If you a parent, you know your kid can't read. You know if your child can't read. If your child can't read, you should be at that school every chance you get. And I understand the single parent thing. I understand 2 and 3 jobs to provide a family thing. But at some point, you need to be calling up to the school on your lunch break if you can't get up to the school. Like we have to turn this shit around. Like this is beyond embarrassing. This is a slap in the face to all the people who died for trying to read. For all the people who were enslaved, our ancestors who were enslaved, and dare they try to learn to read, they received lashes, whips to their back for wanting to learn and wanting to be educated. This is really embarrassing. And so we have to find a way. And I'm actually probably going to personally commit myself to this because this is the first time I've actually looked at these numbers. So I'm actually going to commit myself to this. I have to find a way to, I can't be sitting here with books in the background. Yeah, we got to do something. If I got to start buying personal pan pieces my damn self, we have to get these kids reading again. Black kids need to start reading again out loud on camera. Okay. Even further, not as bad, but still work to do. When it comes to high school graduations amongst black men, only 76% are graduating in comparison to all of their non-black, not just white, non-black counterparts. 90% are graduating high school. Only 76% of black men are graduating high school. I know that is probably contributed to socioeconomics, but we gotta dig into that. We gotta figure out why these young men aren't making it out of high school. We gotta figure that out. I'm gonna talk to my educator friends. I don't even want to go into that too much because I haven't done the in-depth research into that. But I want to, yeah, let me talk to my educators and do some more thorough research. This is gonna go beyond. This is gonna go beyond Black History Month, by the way. Like when I look these numbers up, because I'll be honest, I knew just because of the work I do at the car wash that what the reading proficiencies were or lack thereof generally. But when you look at it, and you know what I always said that African American communities tend to skew lower. I didn't know this low though, you guys. I thought when they said lower, I was thinking maybe we came in at like a 70% while everybody else was like the high school shit, 70 to 90. I didn't know it was only 17% of fourth graders and only 14% of black eighth graders can read. That's shameful. That's shameful. In the age of AI, that is shameful. We have to turn that around. That's gonna be a personal challenge of mine. We got to turn that shit around. Yeah, we got to turn that around, my people. Um, as we can see, this country is proving to be what it has always been to us. I said a few episodes earlier, actually. I said, for all the other people, the Latinos and the Asians and just all of the non-white people, and even some of the white people, the whites, especially on the left, I said that you wonder why black people haven't fully engaged or showed up how you would expect us to, or what you remember us doing for Black Lives Matter, and it's simply because all they're doing to you right now is treating you black. All they're doing to you right now is treating you black. That's it. They're treating you like they've always treated us. Like they've always treated us. And when you saw it before, you gaslit us into believing that it had something to do with the way we showed up in the world. That's what you did. And now it's happening to you all for no other reason than how you show up in the world. I'm not saying this to gloat. I'm not saying this to pick at people. I'm saying that if this doesn't turn humanity around, if this doesn't turn a new page in this country, 250 years will be the beginning of the end for us. If this moment doesn't turn us around collectively and make us better people, then we are fucked. And that's not a black thing, that's a US thing. That's a world thing, with us being, leaders of the free world, even though we've led it astray thus far. With especially it's heightened within this recent administration. But if we can't let this moment turn it around, there are kids being eaten and sexed up, and CEOs are doing it, and they're running this whole pedophilic cabal above our heads while we sleep. And I have a theory about that. I said it last time. I think the children that are gone missing, and once they start to exhume bodies that they will find probably on this ranch, I think they're going to start finding out that the white survivors, so the survivors are white and the bodies won't be, especially with the primary function being in the island and then in New Mexico. The islands, a lot of brown babies down in those islands. And then when you get to New Mexico, well, that's just right above the border. And so that's where the brown, I'm willing to bet some money. I'm willing to bet some money that's what they're going to find out. But I'm tying this back into blackness to say that as the black community, this is the time to unify and fortify the black community. This is the time to get into all those recipes that we're damn near about to lose and bring our community back to life. BET, why aren't you doing the BET honors during February? I know it's award season. Add it to the list. There, I don't care if you don't have it, but in a small banquet hall at the Holiday Inn by the airport, y'all should be having a BET honors. You should be. People are dying. BET people are dying at 52. You got to honor these people while they're here. BET, shame on you for canceling the BET honors. That should be indoctrinated in the ethos of what black entertainment should be. We should always have a space, and not just the BET awards, the black BET honors, because that crossed all genres. It crossed all industries, rather. It crossed all industries. So BET, shame on you. Do better. Also, young black men, if you live in a neighborhood and it's old people on your street or single mothers on your street, pull the trash can in on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whenever y'all trash can run. It don't hurt you to pull the trash can up. Now, my provision is do this if you live in the black community, because if you pull up in, the other people community, they pow your ass. I didn't say do it for everybody. I said if you live in your community amongst your people, we understand that the young boy can pull the trash can up in the yard for him. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, don't go pulling that out in Mayberry. You can get your ass pow. Don't do that. But again, I started heavy, so I'm gonna end light, quite like I did with the Jesse Jackson story, or the Jesse Jackson, yeah, I guess story, remembrance, memoriam. Uh, Black people, we Black Americans, we're amazing people, and I think we know that. I know we know that, and I think we know that. I think we attribute that to a lot of the times why and how we are targeted. I think we feel it, and I just want all of you to know that I love you, even if I don't agree with you. I don't have to agree with you to love you, and I think we need to understand that more. We don't have to agree with every walk of life under the black umbrella of being black in America. But what we have to do is have a love for each other deep enough that surpasses that. So I may not be buddy buddy with you now, get your ass over there, but don't go too far to where I can't see you. Let me keep my eyes on you. I ain't fucking with you right now, but let me get you out. Don't go too far because I want to be able to keep my eyes on you. That's how we have to be with one another. And we can't do that with these divisive things like the straight versus LGBTQ and the black women versus trans. And then you have the men and the women against each other with the battle of the sexes and all that shit. That is noise. That is stuff that does not matter at the end of the day, because if they decide to Tulsa our neighborhoods again, no one cares about any of those boxes you check. They don't care. They're not coming into the black community to only grab the black gays. They are not coming into the black community to only grab black women. If they are coming to the black community, they are coming to the black community. And so what we have to do is a better job at letting our community and how we show up for each other reflect our exit polls. Because I'm telling you, this is all driven by our exit polls. Let me see how am I doing on time? I'm sorry. I'm trying to steer this ship in the right direction, you guys. I really am. I really am trying to steer this ship in the right direction. Uh-oh. But I said, uh-oh. But anyway, which means I got to start putting a bow on this show. What I do want to say though, and this one can go over. I don't really give a damn. Because also we don't have a show next week, so I'll let this run a little longer actually, and we'll chop it up to get you over. No show next week, just 1 week off. I'm not disappearing on you guys, I promise. I got some stuff I need to take care of, so no show next week, and then I'll pop back in the second week of March. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. And we're in Mercury retrograde, so I want to give you a Mercury retrograde quality shows. Um, but anyway, I just want to say I love us as a people, and I want us to start to appreciate and love each other as a people. And I'm not saying that be fake and kumbaya this shit up overnight. I'm saying instead of your approach being combative, let's try to work to make our approach conversational. Sit with the person you don't understand and say, "Hey, where you coming from? What's your point of view? Why do you think the way you think?" Let's try to understand each other, even if we walk away still disagreeing. We can mutually just agree to disagree and still not hate each other and still not beef each other and other. And I'm not talking about the 50 Cent Ti shit. That's hip hop. I carry on. That's sport. But I'm saying in general, day to day, our exchanges and interactions on the internet, let's hold space for each other. Let's also get better about identifying digital blackface. There are a lot of non-black people with black appearing profiles just so they can feel that glow digitally, just so they can walk in those shoes digitally, just so they can drop that word digitally. So y'all be careful of that too. Y'all know how black people talk, and so if they start I mean, we know we know how Candace Owens talk, and most people don't fool with Candace Owens too much, but we know she black. Now, I ain't gonna do it. Happy Black History Month, Candace Owens. Uh, I ain't gonna do it like that. I ain't gonna do it like that. Happy Black History Month, sister. Um, but yeah, we have to do a better job of, as I always do, hold space. We have to do a better job of holding space for one another, whether we agree or disagree. So I'm gonna put a pin in it right there. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Again, no show next week. We'll have more clips though. I'll put out more clips, but no show next week. I'll be back the second week of March. But until then, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Be kind. Do not be an asshole. The unemployment rate is 7.8%. 17% of these kids in the fourth grade reading right. 14% in the eighth grade reading right. $56,000 compared to $88,000. You only work $56,000. Be kind. Be kind. People got it hard. Don't be an asshole. And keep your light on for me. Somebody asked me what that meant. One of my friends was like, you always say keep your light on for you. Is that from like Motel 6? No. When I say keep your light on for me, it kind of goes into one of my TROYisms, is that we all have a light within us. And I kind of derived it from Dr. Maya Angelou saying we must all keep a clean place within us that we may hear the word of God. And so from that, I see that clean place as a light. And so when I say keep your light on for me, damn, I just realized where this is going and where I'm about to go. When I say keep your light on for me, I mean don't turn your light out, if you catch my drift. And that just kind of segued me into thinking about Mary Crosby, who lost her son, who struggled with addiction and lost his battle with addiction, but he finally gained peace. And so we're gonna wrap our arms around Mary Cosby. She's one of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and I don't know, you remember they had a viral moment a few years ago, I think now, where her and her son had that exchange about his struggles with addiction, and the only thing that was keeping him around for the longest, of course, was his mom, his love for his mom, and how she would do anything. Anyway, I'm not all right. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Not here. But we send our thoughts and prayers after Mary Cosby. So, as I always say, and I'm going to wrap this up again now that you know what it means, take care of yourself, take care of each other, be kind, don't be an asshole, and keep your light on for me. All right? I love you all. I really do. Okay, bye.